to draw attention to the sacred, to the sacredness of life, of this life that we are living, that we are walking. This moment, all moments, each breath, it's a sacred miracle. Each step, each connection in this amazing incarnation. It's crazy. It's crazy what we're doing. Absolutely insane. So we have each moment an opportunity, every moment, yes, even this moment here, this one, an opportunity to impact each other, to whatever our choices are, whatever our mind states are, how we act on them, how we behave, how we walk through our lives, we have an opportunity to continue in some way. In the ways that resonate with our cores, with our core values, our hearts, how we develop and express our character in this life has a very real impact. So there's a continuation, we'll call it a continuation behind us that provided the conditions for us coming into the world and living and interacting as we do. And there's a continuation in front of us. And also all around us. Thich Nhat Hanh says that you don't have to die in order to see your continuation. So instead of in the Plum Village community, instead of saying someone has died or transitioned or crossed over, they say they continue. And instead of a birthday, they have a continuation day. So that's how we express just this interesting thing, that this interesting dance, this samsara that we are walking around in. So we can get some pretty instantaneous results from our actions. We can see that. And we also have Thich Nhat Hanh uses the example of a cloud. I love this. He uses the example of a rain cloud. And he says that the rain cloud doesn't have to entirely dissipate before you can see the results of its impact, before you can see the rain falling and moistening the earth, the thirsty earth, or nourishing plants, or impacting a bug on a leaf, or insects, or running into waterways and nourishing animals. And still, the rain cloud is there, and all of its we can see all of the different ways that it is touching life, touching and impacting, and even ourselves, even our bodies. We can drink the water, we can bathe in it, and then that cloud moves through us as we act in the world, as we impact. And so the cloud lives in that way, even long after it's gone. So as the cloud is living and reigning, it has an impact, and well after it's gone, it continues in this way. The riverways, the oceans, our bodies. So imagine every ripple, all the impact just from one human just one human life as we continue through other beings and all the projects that we've touched in our lives, emotional impacts, relational impacts, um, and so on. It's pretty astounding if you think about it, the eons of these ripples that we create. And so we can continue like this, from cloud through eternity, through eons, largely due to something that we call impermanence. We can only do this because of impermanence. If the cloud stayed the cloud, a full rain cloud, if it was not impermanent, none of that would happen. If a seed was a seed, it would never turn into a plant or a tree or bear fruit or nourish others or be able to carry on through life. That seed, magic inside of seeds always baffles me. And then it carries on. So interesting, so cool. But we do this because of impermanence. Impermanence is like this. There's a sutra, it's called the Heart Sutra. And it refers to emptiness. We all hear this concept in our practice, emptiness. Emptiness is also like this. Emptiness doesn't mean nothing. It doesn't mean voidness in this way. I think it's a point of confusion for people. In our practice, it means that we're not solid, that we're not a static, solid, unchanging thing. I like to think of, Mystic, the X-Men, Mystic, the one who can, she can change form. She can shapeshift. So, and then when they showed the graphic of her doing it, she kind of goes into these different particles and her whole body just kind of changes. I kind of think of it like that. That act is what they mean, what it means, emptiness in this practice. Just we are constantly empty. We are just this flowing, changing circumstance. Our cells and our bodies are constantly dying and replenishing. It's like we're experiencing it in slow motion, but we have this, the entirety of creation, all that is manifest is this state of flux, just like mystic. And so it's emptiness because nothing is solid, nothing is really here. Like the clouds, so it empties and dissipates, yet it permeates all things. So one very unique and interesting thing about our recent times is that we've had such an abundance of opportunity to work with and be with a sort of pronounced sense of impermanence and groundlessness. I think at one point in my life, my entire future became sort of an amorphous cloud. And there really was just no way for me to make a plan, a solid plan for my future. And so I just felt like I was floating around in the intensity of the, our present circumstances. Really interesting laboratory. The ego can become really attached to these beautiful creations that we make, that are our lives are. Sometimes I see them as like a beautiful web, like a spider, that we weave them around us. And I think you heard me mention, there's a teaching around sand mandalas, the Tibetan sand mandalas, where they take so much time creating these mandalas, these beautiful colors, and out of sand. You see all the monks there. They chant. They can take, they can do them in hours or days or weeks, and sometimes they're just enormous and elaborate and beautiful. And then once they are completed, they destroy the mandala, and this symbolizes the reality of impermanence. And so we can apply the same concept to our lives. We build our own mandalas over many years, right? Decades. And it becomes complex and intricate. And then we begin to believe that these life mandalas define us. This complexity can at times stifle us and hinder our growth and keep us from experiencing a real sense of freedom or experiencing even just new things. There is a real freedom, a very real freedom in this life. That is yours, truly yours. And so what's it like to apply this concept to your life, like the mandala? There can be a kind of refuge in groundlessness, a refuge in impermanence, a freedom. So, impermanence, anicca. It's a Pali word, anicca, meaning impermanent. And so it's the compound word. A means non, nicca means constant, continuous, permanent. So not constant, not continuous, not permanent. It's referring to the fact that everything that occurs in this world is inherently subject to change, to arising and passing away. And that the conditions are always changing. Nothing is solid. Central to our tradition here. So I've been working with that sutra, the Heart Sutra. It has a longer name. Its short name is the Prajna Paramita, and it's also called the Heart Sutra. It's a sutra. I say sutra. In Pali, we say sutta. But this is a sutra from the Mahayana tradition, so we say sutra. And it originated in India some 2,000 years ago. And para means the other shore, ita means gone, and prajna means insight or wisdom. And so it's the insight that brings us to the other shore. So other prajna or param, other shore, it kind of means understanding. You begin, you're thinking in one place and you end up in another, and that's why it's other shore. So it's perfect understanding or perfect wisdom. It's prajna paramita. There's also a female deity that some of you may be familiar with, prajna paramita. And she's the personification of perfected wisdom. And she's also known as the Great Mother. So kind of fitting on our Women's Day today. So the insight of the Prajna Paramita is the ultimate truth, it's said, transcending all other truths, whatever small conventional truths that we experience here in our human lives. This is the ultimate truth. It is considered by many to be the highest insight in our tradition. And so it's the perfect understanding of reality, of things as they have come to be, things as they are. I'm going to read something to you. I'll read you. This is actually from the sutta. This is, I'll just read you a little piece of it. This is Avalokiteshvara. And he's speaking to Sariputra. Sariputra is one of the Buddha's top disciples. And so he says, listen, Sariputra, the body itself is emptiness, and emptiness itself is the body. The body is not other than emptiness, and emptiness is not other than the body. The same is true of feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. Listen, Sariputra. All phenomena bear the mark of emptiness. The true nature is the nature of no birth, no death. So, no birth, no death. Emptiness. What is emptiness? Is this emptiness? Emptiness is not a void. It's empty of a separate self, if you can think of it that way. We really are immersed in this idea of our little bodies, our little lives, my being. It's interesting. There's a certain way of looking at our lives and our experience here that really supports that idea. I mean, it kind of feels like, yeah, it's my body is this finite thing, and this is how I'm living. This is my manifestation. This is my incarnation. There's also an ancient belief in our mythos that says there's a life-giving elixir or liquor that moves through the universe, that moves through the heavens, the drink of the gods and goddesses. It circulates through the universe, supporting and sustaining all life everywhere. And so it comes to us in all of the manifestations of life. All the life that we see, this elixir flowing through the stars. What makes our hearts beat? What is that? I don't know. The ocean, all the life there. Everywhere, this elixir is flowing. It's and changing. So it's never ending. This cycle. Interbeing, no separate, unchanging self. Impermanence, not solid or unchanging. We know this. No birth, no death. Eternity. So we have this woven tapestry through time and space. And it's a perfect weaving. It's a perfect fabric. No, there's no part of it that can be without the other parts. All the entire tapestry is woven in this perfected way. All of samsara, I like to think of it as heart closed, samsara, heart open, nibbana. So we have, or a path that leads to suffering, and a path that leads to happiness, or many paths. We have various ways of walking, various behaviors and things we do throughout our day. Sometimes we tend toward freedom, more happiness, and sometimes we tend toward the things that may cause us more entanglement, more suffering. as we work with each passing mind state, there's a thread at the core of each action, each thought, each emotion that carries us through our lives, actually moves us around through our lives. And this is our desire, this is our attachment to things. These are forces that we all experience, that we all walk with and live with. They manifest as impulses and behaviors, and patterns, and they can at times keep us tightly bound to the path that leads to suffering. In many ways, like with the mandalas. And so this is where our work with the Four Truths, the fourth being the Eightfold Noble Path, can support us as we work with impermanence and the changing tides all around us. So working with our attachments in this world, the illusion and delusion is so strong, right? What will bring us happiness? Cling because we don't see the truth of freedom, of impermanence, of interbeing in every moment. There is no measure of gaining or losing. There is no birth. There is no death. Just our continuation of the great cycle. We are not separate from all beings. We are not separate. We become attached to this ego. We become attached to this body. And we begin to fear losing it. So we grasp, we cling. No death, no fear. That's what that statement means. We do not. We are not separate from all of what is just continuous. Alas, we have our human experience in these little bodies. So this response of grasping and attachment to changing circumstances is what we do. This is what we do. So it doesn't have to be about not having any desires, but can we look into them and discern what binds us to suffering and what is wholesome or what is supportive, and what leads us just to more freedom in our lives. Our present societal structure really supports this craving and clinging in most moments. Instead of fully just embodying this, here, we're out here clinging to something else. That's the carrot, that's the treadmill. And we're conditioned in this society to be unhappy with just about everything, even our bodies, how we look, how much money we have. So entangled with self-identity. Everything is marketing. Our craving and desire has been completely commodified. Social media, likes, all designed to make us crave more and more. And we've really gone off the deep end with that, as we can see how the suffering manifests in the world. Capitalism, scarcity, more and more, and never enough, never contented. This giant machine wouldn't be doing so well if we were all just content. So grasping, clinging, arising from our conditioning around greed. And I know that we don't think of ourselves as greedy people. It's not a part of our core value system. For our conditioning, we certainly want the new model of the iPhone, even though my phone is perfectly fine. We want that. And that's just part of our conditioning. We want, wealth. We want things. We want, to us, it looks like freedom. We want that. So discerning what is healthful and what leads to suffering. So can we begin by really looking deeply into our desires? We can actually sit with desire, and we can see how it works. We can get underneath and see what's driving it. A few days ago, I think it was last week, I became aware that I was experiencing some intense desire, or not desire, but anxiety in my body. I could just feel it in my body. I was like, oh, what is this? And I realized that I was having anxiety around some aversion that I was having. And I looked at it and I was like, wow, I'm actually having some strong aversion. And I looked at that and I was having aversion to a desire that I was having, I was trying not to have. So I was just having this anxiety around the fear of my own desire. And so I looked at the desire, and you can kind of really get underneath that and to see what is the underlying need. What is really going on? So tending to the actual need with maybe a supportive or healthful action or behavior, as opposed to some of the desires that we chase after, trying to, not really looking at the need. And so this approach can enable you to get underneath and maybe tend to in a more helpful way. So if we can see the truth of freedom at every moment, the truth of freedom, no separateness, we are interbeing, we have no beginning and no end. We can see our human experiences and all that is in flux, like mystic, in a different way, and maybe step more firmly into fearless impermanence, as I like to call it, which is really freedom. So I will stop there. I have one thing I'd like to read to you. This is it's actually from his book, No Death, No Fear. It's really powerful. It's like instant, boom. Love this book. He says, looking deeply into reality, you can discover many things. You can surmount so much suffering and counter many wrong perceptions. If we can abide peacefully in the ultimate dimension, means seeing that we are interbeing, seeing that we are our continuation, the ultimate dimension. If we can abide peacefully in the ultimate dimension, we will not drown in the ocean of suffering, grief, fear, and despair. In the ultimate dimension, we have never been born, and we will never die. In the historical dimension, we live in forgetfulness, and we are rarely truly alive. So, can we just ease into the sense of, maybe all of this, what I'm doing, is based on this idea of separate self. We ease into what we're referring to as a